Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us. Check him out at The Ringer. Podcast is Higher Learning. He appears to have a lasso tied up on his wall. Van Lathan, what's going on?
What up?
All right, so you only wear the ridiculous hat when you go to work, but not at your house?
I wear it all the time. But I go through different hat phases now. Now I'm in a bucket hat, dad hat phase, but I wear my cowboy hat all the time. That's my strength right there.
I know. I didn't know the last time I saw you without the cowboy hat. So like once I saw you like inside your house, I thought that maybe you had some rules. Like the old timers say you don't wear a hat like that indoors. It's disrespectful to the ladies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the hat is like a crown, the cowboy hat. And so I feel like it's a ceremonial thing. When I want to show my power, I put the cowboy hat on. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that is a lot of words for the word gimmick.
Could be. But I mean, everything that you see up here is like that lasso right there. That's my father's lasso.
Oh, that is an actual lasso. I did not realize it was an actual lasso.
Oh yeah, no, that was so that lasso that you guys can see in this shot, that's my dad. So like that lasso right there has been used in rodeos going back to, I don't know, at least the 80s when he would use it. And so when I went home after he passed away, like I brought his lasso back with me. I brought his lasso and his knives with me. The guns I tried to bring, but it was very difficult in California. So this whole side of the wall, this is the Louisiana wall, the Percy Miller jersey. That's the lasso. The cowboy hats are also from my dad, but the men in my family wear them. So, you know, that's the whole deal. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever go to the rodeo at Angola?
Yeah.
I don't know how and for those of you who do not know, the state penitentiary in Louisiana is Angola State Penitentiary. And it is a touch dangerous, but they are also known for 2 things that could be helpful to the general public. They make impeccable leather goods at Angola, and they have a rodeo every year.
They have a rodeo, and they also have football.
I did not know that, and that sounds terrifying.
The different camps have football teams. So, I mean, Angola, which is definitely one of the worst places you can be in America, they do have some things where they let the inmates express themselves to a degree. But I've definitely been down to rodeo there. I've been to rodeos all throughout the South and the Southeast.
Letting the boys at Angola play football does not seem like the best idea. Like with pads on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called like the crack bowl, not the crack bowl. It's called like the smash bowl or something like that. But you have to remember now, I'm not saying that they play football with a ton of skill, but
I mean, obviously.
But there's insane athleticism because it's Louisiana. So there are guys running around there that were ex-high school players. You know, the skill would come in from all of this advanced coaching and all of that stuff. But there's some crazy athletes running around down there.
It's the physicality that I am curious about and makes me a little worrisome because I know everything I've heard about pickup basketball at a prison is a daunting level of physicality. And now you're talking about they're letting them actually play football.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a while. It's actually it's such a mixed bag when you think about it, like philosophically, because you're in a place when you drive up to St. Francisville. Obviously, I've known, well, not obviously, I don't want to say obviously. In my lifetime, I've known a couple of residents of Angola State Penitentiary very well. And when you drive up there, there's a long road that leads you up to the prison. And when you start getting in on the way to this road, I mean, you see like the prisoners working and the guy on a horse, and it's, you know, just right out of 1835, 1860. The prison and the way that it is run is a historical relic of that time in American history. But there are different ways when you talk to inmates, particularly some of the inmates that were involved with the rodeo that make some of the goods and the crafts. There's art there. There's an art show. There are ways that the inmates find freedom inside the walls of Angola that's quite inspiring. Now they should be able to live in different conditions, but there are ways that the gentlemen there find themselves that when you get into their stories, it's actually pretty amazing.
No, we turn it into something inspirational. I did not expect that to be the direction that we would go in when we talked about Angola. Look at
happens,
you, boy.
Brother. Happens when we get together, bro.
You out here broadening minds. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't realize it was an actual lasso. And you're like, yeah, it's my dead dad's lasso. Hardy hard, motherfucker. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're right.
Hey, look. I like whenever you endeavor to try to be an asshole, there's always a risk that comes.
But I wasn't even being an asshole. I just couldn't understand. I couldn't tell if it was a lasso or an extension cord. I couldn't figure out why it was on the wall.
I've always told people this. Like, hey man, like that shirt fucking sucks. You suck. Hey, bro, my mama gave me this shirt. Now look at you. There's always a chance you take.
See, my mama gave you that shirt. That ain't gonna really do nothing for me. That's like, duh. That's how we wind up making fun of you. I wasn't even making fun. I just couldn't figure out.
Well, if the mama dead, like my daddy, then why you wearing that shirt? Because it's the last thing that my mama gave me. And now, and look at you now everybody looking at you like, yo, what the fuck? Why are you talking like that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, so the problem is you got to really be deep into sociopathy to follow up, because the follow-up is very easy. That's the last thing that my mama gave me before she died. Why you sad then?
Why you sad that she died?
I mean, I'm just saying, if that's the kind of love, if that's the way your mama shows you love, you know what I'm saying? But that's just, you got to really be willing to go all the way in that moment.
You have to, and it has to land. Because if it lands, then everybody gonna be like, oh shit, man, look how he came back from the depths. But if it don't land, people are gonna be looking at you like, do we want to be around him? He made fun of that man when his mama died. Especially in the white neighborhood, in white spaces. Oh, you kill with that. You kill when you come back and you go, oh, your mom must have hated you. You kill. But in black spaces, they're gonna be like, we can't be around this nigga. He done made fun of the goddamn mama.
Yeah. Like when you make an ambitious opener, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a risk that I'm generally unwilling to take. In this case, I didn't think it could have been as risky as it proved to be. But I was at a wedding one time, and this dude pulled up on me, and it was a white dude, and I think it may be Jermaine giving some of the explaining that you was doing. And then white man pulled up on me, and he was like, he shakes my hand. And it was a wedding where there was like other people, like industry type people there. And this guy was not an industry person. And so he put up on me, and he shake my hand. And the first thing he says to me is, I've hated everything that you've ever said. At which point I took my hand back because I'm not sure what we about to do. Right. And it went into some whole roundabout, but the groom is really a big fan of yours. And I thought you should know that. And maybe I don't hate everything that you've ever said. And I'm thinking in my head, it's 12:30 and you don't know that I don't drink. Right. All you know is that it's 12:30 and you pulled up on me with pure orificious approach. Right? Straight orifice. Only a white man can have the audacity to do such a thing. I'd only say that to you because I knew you.
But there's something else about white dudes in those types of situations. There's a difference culturally that I've seen. Black men form bonds by inviting peace. White men form bonds by inviting combat. See, black men, hey, you good with me. We could tamp things down and play the game and talk about this and do all of that stuff. Like we turn the shit down when we share peace with one another. we make little treaties. White guys, though, they like to get into it. And that's how they form their bonds. They like to come to you and needle you. That dude is so weird. When he came up to you, that was his version of showing you love. His version of showing you love of being like, hey man, I'm gonna come over here and introduce myself, despite the fact that I hated when you wore the Caucasian shirt on ESPN. I was not fucking with that. But that invites us to sit down and go back and forth for like 10 or 15 minutes. And then I know that you're smart. You know that I'm smart. And now we can have that type of back and forth or relationship with one another. He thought he was coming over with us. We don't look at it like that. Like, yo, why you coming over here and me telling how much you don't like me? Get away from me. But he was inviting conversation. He wanted you to say, oh, which thing did I say that you particularly didn't like? Well, let me tell you about this. In the next 15, 20 minutes, you guys spend volleying things back and forth. Now he can call his friends from Cornell and be like, yo, man, I met Bomani Jones. He's as smart as he seems on TV. We should invite him up to the Cornell Club and see if we can get him involved in Blackwater or whatever. We got another one.
all I felt was disrespect.
Of course.
But the thing was, it was done in such a way where I couldn't have seen it coming and I wasn't braced for it. Right? Like, have you ever had somebody hit on your girl in front of you, but you're not even thinking about that? And then it's just like, wait a minute. And now you can't, I had a dude once where I was at breakfast with my girl and he the waiter and he almost poured coffee, missed my cup. And he was like, oh, my bad. I got a little distracted. I'm not paying no attention to that. It's because he is sitting dead red in her grill. But I ain't realized until by the time I realized that all I could do was not give him a tip. It was just a little bit too late. By the time the disrespect had registered to me, I just took my hand back. That was the only thing I knew was that the handshake portion of the program was over. I was so discombobulated, I can't believe this has actually happened. And I have no actual recourse at 44 years old. There's nothing I can really do about this.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta, at that point, I like to just let it breathe. I'm more interested now that the era of, so growing up in Baton Rouge, the last thing you wanted to be was the one who got fucked over, right? Just for whatever reason. And if you got fucked over, the question you have to ask yourself is, why do they think they could fuck over me? So that question of why do they think they could fuck over me would sometimes drive you to rage. It wasn't even that you took offense, so much offense at what was going on, but you're thinking, what am I doing to make this person think that I'm the one to fuck over?
Yeah, what makes you so sure that I won't shoot you?
Yeah.
It's something about me.
Yeah, and so that makes you feel unsafe because it to move around in those spaces, you kind of have to have people feel that you'll fuck them up. That's gone within me. That's one thing that has died within me now. What's died within me now is I think getting older, going through some stuff, I have confidence now to where I know some people are just blissfully unaware of the infractions that they commit against others. And also, some people just don't give a fuck. So now in that situation, if my girl is getting hollered at, I'm actually more interested in how she reacts than anything else. I see it happening and I wouldn't do anything but smile and just see, one, if she peeps it, and two, if she deads it. Oh, so that's more what I'm interested in now, just in any situation like that, because I think that I've come to a certain level of control and understanding about myself, right? Very confident. Now I'm just kind of looking like, what's she gonna do? And I'm not even gonna get mad what she do. I just want to see what the waiter is hitting on you. He's doing all this. How are you gonna react? Interesting.
Yeah, I see the argument because this happened 20 years ago, right? Or somewhere in that zone. So I'm in a completely different place. At that time, though, it's not even so much that I felt emasculated or anything. I I felt I had no tools at that point. Like I was old enough to know what I'm gonna do. Fight this man at the restaurant. I don't even live in this city. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What am I gonna do that? No. All I can do is just sit here and then be like, oh, wait a minute. At least he didn't pour the coffee in my lap as he was doing it.
Yeah. But once again, this last thing I'll say, I gotta give him props though, because
no, you don't. You don't have to
I do.
I disagree.
Because I give props to anybody that shoots in that situation. That's called. So, me and the homies back in the day used to, when you shoot from the compromised place, it's easy to shoot from on high, right? It's easy to shoot when you roll up in a Benz and you see a girl at the bus stop. It's easy to be like, yo, you want to ride? Like, I'll take you where you're getting to go. Like, that's easy. That don't take nothing. But when you shoot from the bus stop to the girl in the Benz, oh, you the man. When you shoot as the waiter to the dude from ESPN and his girl, I commend that man, because that man said, fuck it.
No.
He said it don't matter. When you shoot from
he did not say fuck it. He said fuck you. And in this case, I am the you, and we are not commending. That. We're not commending fuck Bomani. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. I do know. The fact that you respect disrespect is honestly making me lose respect for you in this very moment. Like this,
you gotta respect disrespect. Hold on.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you
gotta respect disrespect.
No, you don't.
Bomani, come on, man. You know that you respect disrespect. You gotta respect disrespect. Like okay, I'll give you an example. Just one, real quick, Bomani, just real quick. We can get off this. This has been a blissful tangent, by the way. Let's say Kobe walk in the gym, right? Rest in peace, Kobe. Because the only reason why I think about Kobe is because he was the one that everybody wanted to be like. Let's say Kobe walk in the gym. We all playing ball in Equinox, Kobe walk in the gym. Everybody gonna be respectful of Kobe, right? Everybody gonna be like, oh my God, Kobe's out here. Can I set a screen for Kobe? Can I rebound for Kobe? Can I get an assist to Kobe? Can I get an assist from Kobe? But see the one nigga that walk in this bitch like, this is my chance. This is my chance to son Kobe that get like a flicked it layup and goes, yeah, nigga. Fuck, I'm talking about. That's the nigga I respect. I respect the one that said, fuck him. This is my chance to be better than
you know who you saying you respect.
That's the one I respect.
You know who you saying you respect with that analogy.
Ooh.
You ride for Karl Malone.
Ah, come on now.
No. You ride for Karl Malone.
There's some other things.
No. Hold on. Let me talk now as I let you go through that totally nonsensical spiel. Karl Malone pulled up on Vanessa at that game. Vanessa asked him if he was going hunting because he had his country ass clothes on in LA. And Karl Malone said to her, yeah, I'm going hunting for Mexican girls. You apparently, since we respect and disrespect, you respecting the dude that disrespected Kobe and his queen. That's you.
Okay.
That's you.
Okay.
That's you.
All right.
That's you.
All right.
That's you.
Understand what I'm saying now.
I understand clearly what you're saying. You understand what I'm saying.
What you're doing right now is you're reorienting.
I'm saying that the type of person that you respect is Karl Malone.
That is your teammate, and in that situation, I'm not saying respect breaking brotherhoods, right? I wouldn't respect my brother hollering at my girl. Like I wouldn't expect my father hollering at my girl. Like that. These are you're breaking covenants. But if that would have come from one of the catering guys that worked at the party, I would respect it. Like if it comes from Karl Malone, that's your teammate's girl. That's your teammate's girl. It doesn't. But if it comes from one of the guys that's like should not have the hubris to try that, I would respect it. Plus, Karl Malone, he is known for trying to get at women he should not be getting at.
Van Lathan, aka the mailman. That's where we at with this. Hey, mailman, have you ever thought about smoking crack before?
Have I ever thought about it? No. There's an interesting conversation that I had with one of my uncles about smoking crack.
Do tell.
So, and he's passed away now. But I remember I was talking to him one time, and he had some issues with crack. The nigga smoked crack, was into crack. And I remember he was sober at this point. And so I asked him, I was like, man, why crack? Why would it be crack, man? Like, why crack? And he goes, that's not a question for me. The question is not why we are smoking crack. The question is why y'all are smoking crack. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, crack, when it came out, was a new drug for us. It was something to try. Like, crack come out 83, 84, 85. It's like, yo, we was getting high off cocaine in the 70s. The crack come out, and now we trying the crack because that's a new drug that hit the streets to try. We had no idea. He goes, y'all and y'all generation, y'all know, and y'all still fucking with it. So the question isn't why we tried it. We were the crack guinea pigs. The question is why y'all see us and are still doing it. And I never forget that.
That's a fairer point than I ever imagined. It leads us to a very convenient segue into Hunter Biden doing his interview for 3 hours with some people I'd never heard of. Apparently, they seem to have some measure of legitimacy because they got Hunter Biden to sit down for an interview. Yeah. Now, I was trying to figure out what city it was in. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, oh, okay, y'all got something completely different going on. The YouTube News Network, I ain't that familiar with that world. Now, first of all, it takes 2 minutes of listening to Hunter Biden and be like, oh, I see how you are trafficked through this world. This man is incredibly charming. Like in that trial, where that woman was like, yo, the first time I met him, he was smoking crack, but I really liked him. Like it all like shines out. He also said something that I had never considered about crack smoking. And I'll be honest with you, I heard him pop some shots at like Axelrod and Carville and all of them. But the stuff that's really got the streets on fire is him talking about crack, right? He was talking about he himself cooking up crack. And, you know, as a student of rap music, only people I ever hear talk about cooking up crack is the dudes that sell the crack. I had never considered the idea of people buying the cocaine and making their own crack at home. I never really, like, I imagine that's a great way to save a little money.
Yeah, or to control how pure your crack is. The Hunter Biden interview just told me that anything can be elevated. You can elevate anything. You know how like people get into food down as chefs and they go, hey, this is a taco, but it's an elevated taco. Hey, this is chitlins, but these are elevated chitlins. Right? You can elevate anything. Hunter Biden sounded like, and maybe there's a racial component here because he's a rich white guy that's talking about it. Maybe you could have got this same crack dissertation from anybody that was walking around in any of these places like this, but maybe the optics of it changed because it's him. But he got into the purity of crack. He got into the ritual of crack smoking and why it's so, he really kind of in a way opened up a gateway to talk about the actual addictive nature of it and why it might have the hold on people that it has, other than I just can't shake that crack. And part of that has to do with the fact that he's a white guy, a rich white guy, but still it was very interesting to listen to.
Well, I felt like a couple of things, right? One, I thought that he offered plausible explanation as to how it is that somebody gets addicted to crack, right? Because basically, here's the thing, right? There aren't that many people that we think of as being strung out on crack who get into a position to clean up and come talk about it, right? White, black, or otherwise, okay?
Right.
Like you get the occasional Glenn Lowry. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an economics professor.
Doctor.
He's fairly conservative sort of cat. He had a job lined up with the cabinet, man, but they caught him with the cocaine and he'd be out there smoking crack. Glenn is somebody who could probably explain to you what the crack situation is, but the only crack smokers that we see are the crack smokers. Like we only see the heads, right? I tried to explain to somebody once that there was a such thing as the occasional crack user, which I didn't believe back in the day, but then I realized is more people smoking crack than just the fiends that's on the street, right? So Hunter Biden became the rare person who had lived a life that allowed him to tell the world that he had smoked crack. Because as he pointed out in the interview, you can't just be out here telling people that you smoke crack. They're going to judge you. And you're goddamn right we are. We are absolutely going to judge you for smoking this crack. So when he was talking about how, he had like a flow chart, basically, like the oral fixation stuff and everything else, and it goes in a circle, and the ritual of it, and the hand to mouth, and how you start as a child, and you're brought into this whole situation and everything else. And I was like, damn, this man got all the game. Like, this just ain't about you being no white man. You are a different white man. Like, you are your father's son if your father, smoked rocks.
Yeah, he's got the charm that comes with the seasoning that American aristocracy can give you. Almost fumbled that word, but what's funny? My boy, and I'm not gonna mention his name. He's one of my best friend in the world. He was a longtime drug dealer, and he would always say, "Crackheads don't make you rich." He'd be that you don't get rich off crackheads.
They ain't got no money.
Crackheads ain't never got no money. He was like, what keeps me selling crack is the person that work at your job that has a job and has income coming in that can continuously buy crack, and not just continuously buy crack, but introduce crack to other people. Like people that they'll smoke crack at a party and people be like, well, oh my God, if Hunter Biden is doing this, don't think about Hunter Biden. Think about how many crackheads Hunter Biden has made. Think about that. Like Hunter Biden being a crackhead is one thing, right? But picture this. Think about Hunter Biden being the rich son of the vice president or a senator or whomever. You go to Hunter Biden's house to party or to his boat or whatever, you think that you own. You like, oh my God, I'm partying with the top of American power, wealth, and influence. He break out the crack, you're going to try it. He break out the crack, there's a lot of people out there that's going to be like, Hunter Biden and broke out the crack, I'm going to try it. Hunter Biden has made a lot of crackheads, and he's a crack evangelist. He's somebody that can get out there and tell you about it and get you into it and the whole nine.
The virtues.
The virtues of it to a degree that's out of this world. So he's probably made so many crackheads. It's somebody right now that's watching that someplace and they fucked up because they daddy was never the president, and they go, oh my God, Hunter's still on that same shit. So those type of crackheads is what actually keeps the drug dealers rich, because they spread the word of crack around, and they're to a smaller degree inside of communities as well.
So you saying that like crackheads don't keep the drug dealers rich, but the crackheads they keep your wheel wells clean, right? Like they keep your oil change. You need somebody to change out the small block. They got you on that one. That's what the crackheads do. Odds and ends.
He said crack users keep you rich.
Yes.
Crackheads. So
that's what I'm saying. Like the people, we always hear about the crackheads. They're always trying to barter in some form of fashion.
This is why this happened, because, and this people are gonna be listening to this, they're gonna be outraged, but I don't know what to tell you. This is the conversations that we used to have. He would tell me, he would be like, there was one guy, and it was a guy in Denham Springs, a white guy in Denham Springs. Denham Springs is a white enclave, very racist white enclave on the outskirts of what would be considered Baton Rouge proper. And he would be like, the guy had to sell his television to get money to come bring him money for crack. And I was like, first of all, bro, you got to change your life. And I was like, secondly, what do you care? He goes, that just lets me know that he's not going to be a good customer for too much. He's bottoming out. He's getting towards the end of it. He was like, I would rather him be functional and be able to do this every week, every couple of days, couple of times a month, to where I knew that money. But if he's starting to sell shit, that just tells me that he's bottoming out. He's like, those aren't the guys that keep me in business. The guys that keep me in business are people that somewhat have control over it and can keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. This also wasn't a guy that was catching a corner. So he wasn't on the corner dealing to people on the corner. He was more of a upscale guy going
Wholesaler?
to your house and all of that
Oh,
stuff.
no, okay. Not a wholesaler, but
Not
he
a
was
wholesaler. No,
operating
we didn't get
different
to that point.
clientele.
Yeah.
Different clientele. The more you know, coming back with more next. All right, we're back on the right time with Van Lathan. On Monday, I was supposed to do a hit on CNN talking about Donald Trump trying to change the name back to the auras over there. And as it happened, Malcolm-Jamal Warner passed away. And it was kind of interesting because they were preparing to figure out like how to tell me that they didn't want me to be on the show no more, but I was already like on. So like when I sat down for it, TMZ had the report, but CNN hadn't been able to confirm.
Right.
And so they were waiting till they got their confirmation. And then I think at some point somebody realized, wait, he's black and in his 40s. Maybe he can talk about this. So they had already called on some other black person to talk, but then they're like, well, would you like to stay on for the conversation? They didn't mention that they were killing my other shit, right? They just asked, would you like to stay on? And I was like, look, I'm here. I budgeted this time. We got on and we talked about it. And bless their hearts, man, because they only had so many questions, man. The first question that man asked me was, after, Bill Cosby and all the things that happened, Malcolm-Jamal Warner had this to say about that. What do you think about the way that he handled it? I'm like, damn, that's question number one. The man just drowned accidentally.
Yeah.
I was
tough.
like, I figured out how to like hit a little L1 on him and get that to where it needed to be. But I was like, hey, man, that man right there is in a pinch. Like, a lot of people, when they go, they got the old bits ready. They got the questions going. This is one they had not prepared for. And that man hit me with that question. And I was like, man, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it happened live on Higher Learning, and it was pretty shocking. You know what I'm coming off real cynical this morning, but when accomplished people die, it is always a shock because whatever their accomplishment it is, you feel connected to it. In this case, if Bill Cosby was the dad of the 80s, then Malcolm-Jamal Warner was the son, right? But there's something else that also compounds this. Why I think people have seen so much from the response is that he was decent. And that's tough. For somebody to have been, and that it shouldn't be, but for someone to have been in the industry as long as what he was, to have had the career that he did and not become jaded, not become cynical, not become a jerk, right? He was a curious guy. He was an artistic guy. He was a guy that looked at the world through the purview of art, but used art to affect the world. He was a good guy. Like, he was a good guy. And you go 54 on vacation with everything, survived being a child star, survived the scandal that whoever that guy was tried to connect him to. He didn't have anything to do with that, right? What difference does it make how he responds? Like, we interviewed him on Higher Learning. We asked him the same questions. You kind of have to about what he thought and how he would react to that. But even when we did, he talked about his parents and what they did for him to keep him safe as a child star in the 80s, as a man growing into himself in the 90s, and on from there. He was just a decent, good guy. And it's one of those things that feels like a kick in the gut because you lost an artist that you could connect with, and you just also lost somebody that would have been responsible for making more good people.
Like, you say something interesting on the child star front that I really hadn't thought about, which was, as big as the Cosby Show was and as famous as they all became, it ain't different strokes, right? Like, we don't have the stories about the children of that show that you had from for whatever reason, right? Like, I hadn't really thought about that, but given the magnitude of how big and famous everybody really became off of that, it's interesting that none of them really went down that road. And I think with Malcolm-Jamal Warner, what I find kind of interesting is that it feels like he wound up living the life that you would hope that somebody could live when you make the ridiculous decision to allow your children to participate in Hollywood at a high level as children, right? Like you get some bread, it can set you up for a future that from there you can do the things that you want to do. That if they can keep you out of trouble and it doesn't wind up going too far, you got a pad that lets you be the artist that you want to be later. Like I had a meeting once with a dude in LA and he told me the best advice he ever got from somebody was, if you're going to sell out, do it early, right? Like it's a lot easier to have principles and stuff after you got some money in your pocket.
Word.
And so if you can get the money that you get off of being a child star, and then from there, there's Malcolm and Eddie and the things like that, right? But hey, like that, I don't think that's not at the top of the resume, but it ain't nothing to be ashamed of, right? But you get that money early, and then you can do all this stuff that he did for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he was a poet. He was a musician. He was an activist, a thinker, all of that stuff. And I think that he was having, I don't want to say a resurgence right now, but he was finding himself creatively in this part of his life in a way that, from my discussion with him, seemed to be very satisfying for him. And that also, for people that have been following some of the stuff that he had done recently, is probably very hard for people to come to terms with. When we grew up, kids on TV were stars. They weren't ancillary parts of these productions. Punky Brewster had her own show. Different Strokes was about those kids. Webster was about the kid. Silver Spoons was about the kid. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, even getting into later on, the children were the centerpiece of those stars. That's not as big of a deal as much as it used to be. Netflix does bring back the teen drama and stuff, but I'm talking about the sitcom where America's tuning in for the cute kid. That thrust a lot on those kids all at once. Even the movie ones like the Two Coreys and all that put a lot, Robert Downey Jr., on those kids all at once. And with the fact that the 80s were kind of a free-for-all, I mean, Bomani, have you ever thought about the fact that everything that we do to keep children safe now is actually a reaction to our childhood? So like every single thing that we do to keep kids safe now is like, because we realized in the 80s it was kind of just a free-for-all. Your parents would be like, don't talk to strangers, don't get into the with a white van, because people was talking to strangers and getting into weird vans with guys giving them candy and stuff like that. So all the protections and stuff that they had for us, that exists for kids now, were because our childhoods were so in the wilderness. And then when you are a child star, you were in Hollywood with it. But he maintained to live a life with dignity where he continued to explore himself. And then he passed away in an unexpected way. So I think a lot of people were just in shock yesterday.
It is interesting to me to watch the ways that people respond to celebrity deaths, because I got a lot of friends that's been to a lot more funerals than I have, right? But I feel like in my life, I've been to a disproportionate amount of like natural causes funerals, or like other, like innocent bystander bullet funerals, like things in that way. And I don't think I have the same reaction or the same relationships with people on screen that a lot of people have. So I can often feel a little bit on the outside when people be like, yo, it feels like a family member died. No, it doesn't. For me, at least, right? That's not to judge anybody else on their reactions. But the Theo Huxtable character reminded me of what my brother was when he was younger, very much. My brother always talks about that. The relationship between Cliff and Theo was the most realistic representation of fatherhood on television, right? Because it was always a cat and mouse game almost in how it was played. And I think I've said on CNN that I think was interesting about like the quality of acting on the show is he was acting as that character in the age range of that character, right? Like he's not that much older in life than he is on screen. And I think it takes a particular level of self-awareness and like an understanding of the world to be able to grasp, call it 16, how a 14-year-old acts. Or at 15, right? Because at 16, you think you're growing and you're not. But to be able to recognize, like, no, this is the way a teenager would handle this sort of thing. Like the scene where the regular person scene, the all-time classic, no wonder you make D's and everything, right? I just want to be a regular person. But when he tried to get his ear pierced and so his dad wouldn't recognize, which is only something a stupid teenager would come up with, and they sitting on the bed and they're going like this because Cliff is trying to get a peek at it, and they doing that guide around, It's like, oh no, you nailed what it is to be a stupid ass teenage boy in a much different way that I can recall anybody having really gotten on a show like that.
Yeah, I think that two things. One, that was really well said, but two things. Oh, the first is that I think people sometimes feel connected to people on screen because they have an idea of what they would want their family to be. So when an actual family member dies, you have to wrestle with a lot of things, and a lot of them aren't so. There's a part of it that's just like, man, I don't get to hug this person anymore. But then there are so many things that are left unsaid. There are so many things that you have to deal with. You wonder if you could have done anything, if there was like there's so much emotion there. There's sometimes guilt, there's sometimes shame, there's sometimes anger, there's all of that. When somebody that's like family dies, it's just adulation and love that you have for them. So it's just like, oh my God, they're not saying that Malcolm-Jamal Warner died. They're looking at him as if he were Theo Huxtable. They feel like this is the end of the life of Theo Huxtable. They felt that close to him because they never had to have any complicated feelings about it. And it's just a reminder that what they saw wasn't actually real. So there's a lot of these parasocial relationships that people have with people that are on the screen sometimes exist because fantasy is a very potent part of the human experience, how you would want things to be. Secondly, with his portrayal of Theo, you nailed it. Those kids felt like real kids. They didn't have answers. They weren't doing ridiculously stupid things like in the movie War Games where you almost start a thermonuclear war. They were doing real world stupid kid things. They wrote them like they were kids. Like, I'm going to a concert I shouldn't have gone to, and the concert goes crazy. Like, I want an expensive shirt. I buy the shirt. The shirt is too much money. I got to take it back. Now my sister makes the shirt. The shirt looks crazy. They wrote them like they were kids. They didn't give them too much. They gave them just enough for it to be really believable. And then Cliff and Claire were there to remind the world that it's their job to take these people and make real world citizens out of them. And it was very effective.
And for Cliff and Claire, regardless of how professional you are, no matter how well you have it together, no matter what you're provided these kids, they're still fucking idiots.
They're dumb.
Doesn't matter. There's nothing that you could do to stop the fact that they're idiots. And that's a lot of there's a longer story to be had about how our childhoods, that the current childhood is a response to our childhood from people who are the people they are, that they are very proud of being because they had the childhoods that we have, and if them stripped them away for that's a whole different discussion, right? But I look back on it and I'm like, look, my parents are professors. I am very familiar with that world of like the two parents who got it right. Well, also I know their kids very, very, very well, and their kids are a mixed bag if bags were ever mixed. You know what I'm saying? I would ask you this though, because the thing about the parasocial relationship I think is interesting because I realized this part about myself, and I'm wondering if anybody listening can relate to this part, which is, and maybe this is a little bit selfish, right? I don't listen to the Migos, but it really hit me when Takeoff died, in part because they were still current. Like, they were still doing it. It's like, who knows what else may have come if this had not happened. I think Nipsey Hussle is a very similar example. When he died, I wasn't like a super fan of his, but I could recognize it lands differently with me. Like you say, for them, it's like Theo Huxtable died. But for me, Theo Huxtable stopped being a thing in 1992. You know what I mean? Like when people are far removed, like it was wild when Prince died. And look, I talked to you that morning to make sure that what I was reading was not crazy, right?
Right.
That was a big one for me. But I was still, for me, kind of like what I loved about Prince, I had and would always have. And so from there, it got to the we all gonna die someday territory. And it was a rest in peace. I mean, like I remember my brother talking about it that night and it was crazy. But it didn't feel like, I didn't feel that immediate shock and grief that people have. And I think it's maybe because like the utility of those people played in my lives had already been served and it would always be there. Like that was how I saw it. And so it's interesting for me to watch people and the relationships that they have, where to them, Theo Huxtable continues to be a living, breathing being, as opposed to me, where it's like, oh, that stopped 33 years ago.
Interesting. I think that is actually incredibly interesting. I think that a lot of people probably feel that way, but there's also a way that I think sometimes people feel to where they look at these figures and people as everlasting, and then the death of the people is a reminder that they're not, right? So Prince's music, like just take Prince for example, the mourning of Prince's music is the thought that Prince had created something that is eternal, that Prince as a force, there's a I can't remember which movie it was. I think Michael Madsen delivers the line, but I can't remember which movie it was. And it says John Wayne dead. Oh, it's in Donnie Brasco. And he's looking at the thing. It says John Wayne dead. And then he goes, how can John Wayne die? Now, if you had read some of John Wayne's interviews and got some of his thoughts, maybe you'd be pretty pleased that John Wayne kicked the bucket, but whatever. I think sometimes these people become institutions, and their death is a reminder that everything is sort of temporary. Like the death of Michael Jackson, people look at Michael Jackson, they think of Thriller, I Want You Back. They don't even think about some of the other more controversial aspects of his life. They think about their connection to someone and the fact that that someone can no longer enjoy being who they are. It's the relationship that people have with celebrities is really interesting because it's not just that they want the celebrity, that they want to be that person. They're happy that that person is that person. And I saw this like at TMZ. It's like, you like the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio can be on a boat. You like Michael Jackson being Michael Jackson. You like Prince being Prince. You want them to enjoy them being who they are. Like, that's why people are so invested into that stuff. So part of it is that you can't enjoy them anymore. But part of the mourning was that Prince doesn't get to perform Purple Rain anymore. You don't get to see it, but he doesn't get to do it. And because that connection that people feel to them is like, there's a oneness there that is really interesting about the human experience.
Yeah, like, look, I would have seen Prince play Purple Rain on every tour toward the end, right? And it's interesting because I didn't quite view it that way with him, because you're right. Like, I think with Michael Jackson, and I'm not really a Michael Jackson guy, but I always felt like from people with Michael Jackson, they felt like he might still have one more in him. Like, you know how it was when Mike Tyson fought Lennox Lewis, and we just kept thinking that maybe for one night, Mike Tyson could dial it up one more time, right? He was clearly not this dude anymore. But we always, and I think Michael Jackson in particular was the one that people felt like one more time, he might be able to dial it up. And I do think that maybe that's part of the effect from person to person, is whether you think that like one more time they could dial up something for you.
The Mike Tyson of it all, I hate that when people say of it all, but I just had to do it. That needs to be studied, because that feeling about Mike Tyson has been one of the most enduring things in sports culture. That happened like earlier this year or whatever it was, maybe last year. Whenever the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing was happening, people were like, yeah, Mike's 57. Yeah, he's had a ton of injuries. Yeah, but it's Mike Tyson. It only takes one shot. And I was telling people, this is not going to go like y'all think it's going to go. Like, reality is real. And he's old. But Mike Tyson lived off that it is Mike Tyson thing for years. He literally had to have his shield ripped off his body in the ring, not by Lennox Lewis, by the way, by Danny Williams, by guys that we were like, okay, it's really over, right? And even when that happened, we mourned the death of Mike Tyson dominant boxing. People just need something and someone to believe in. And the one thing that really stops you more than anything from believing that the people that you admire are superhuman is when they die. Because when they die, you are reminded they are just humans capable of super things. They are not superhumans. And I think sometimes that's a little bit of a mind fuck for people.
Yeah, I wrote after Prince died, I was like, dying's the only ordinary thing he ever did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
impossible to believe that that man could do something so ordinary. And I'll ask you this question kind of as we get to the end here. Is it better that we waited to talk about Malcolm-Jamal Warner and get to the places we got to after talking about the crack, or should we talked about the crack after? Like, you know, should we have gotten people to this like heartfelt, emotional place and then got to the crack? Like, I'm taking inventory. I'm doing this right now for us, for the people. Like, as I thought about it, I was like, wow, we just had an excellent 20, 30 minutes of this, right? And I'm like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have got us to the crack, you know, so quick. Maybe I shouldn't have been out here talking about the prison rodeo and everything else. Maybe I should have got right to the emotions, but I wanted to talk about crack. And your insights about like the crack and the market research and everything else was all so fascinating. But I just wondered if I had done this wrong. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what, Bo, there's so many people that are casted in the role of the Black Larry David, but I'm not so sure that Larry David isn't the white Bomani Jones. What be going on? I'm not so sure that he's not the white Bomani Jones. Nah, man, the conversation. I'm just saying, so this is the thing with me. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to those things, is every now and then you got to figure out a way to put a pin in it, but you don't want it to be down. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta scratch into some heat, and then get it right there. And then the people be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that jam. Yeah, he played it earlier. It was hitting there. We can listen to it one more time." You know what I'm saying? Word. Nah, I think it rolled out the way it was supposed to, because the story about you being on CNN when he passed away, it's the same thing that happened on Higher Learning. Like, me and Rachel are talking about Stephen Colbert or something else, and you can see it on the recording. Higher Learning on the Ringer Podcast Network, by the way, go check it out. You can see me go, and then, I mean, it's me and her, but we've had him on the show, we've talked to him, we have to figure out how we contextualize his life real quick. And I think a lot of people are still kind of struggling and dealing with that. I think people, do you know that the Prince thing, if I remember correctly, I don't think Prince got his just due for his death. And I'll tell you why. I think the Prince thing, if I remember correctly, and I always blame Charlemagne for this, I'm gonna blame him for it right now. The Prince thing happened the same weekend as Birdman put some respect on my name.
Wow.
And so I think Birdman put some respect on my name actually muted some of the discussion and the talk about the life of Prince. Because I'm pretty sure, because this was I remember how TMZ broke the story of Prince passing away. I remember how we got the story. I'm pretty sure that Birdman put some respect on my name was either a couple of days after or that weekend. And I always thought, man, Birdman owes the Prince estate an apology for making everybody talk about put some respect on my name for 5-6 days in a row when we should have been talking about Purple Rain.
Timing is so interesting, right? Farrah Fawcett dies right before Michael Jackson dies.
Same thing. Yep.
Right. Like there's that one. There was another one that I just thought about, but I was in Paris when Prince died. I went to Paris to interview Ta-Nehisi for Playboy. And so I was immersed in it, right? And my social media feed was all of it. Like how the news cycle. Oh, this is what I was thinking about. James Brown died on Christmas Day.
Oh shit, I don't even remember that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Right. James Brown died on Christmas Day. And then, by the way, later we find out that James Brown may have been murdered, and that didn't even make traction. James Brown, the baddest motherfucker that ever lived. And that never really got the traction. But Prince died 3 months after David Bowie died, right? And with Bowie, in line with what I was saying, Bowie had it set that when he died, a new album would come out. And it was good. And the one he had put out before that was also good. But it was like your friendly reminder that David Bowie is still a bad motherfucker and he died. Yeah. Those hit differently. Damn, I had just figured out how to get us out on a happy note talking about crack. So, man, Lathan, Van Lathan. Check him out on The Ringer. Spitting the 11th crack commandment here. Don't about to say once he sell his TV, he'll get no more rock from me, because it's about to be bad news. You know what I'm saying, my brother? I appreciate you.
Always, man. Appreciate what you're doing, brother. Keep it up.
All right, man. Be good. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. Ryan Brumley handled everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.